Okay, if you're looking at this, you're like, why the fuck is she dressed that way? Yes, I'm wearing the wig that I wore to Halloween last night. And yes, last night was Halloween. And tonight, and by the time this is out, it's like, why are you even talking about Halloween? Halloween's come and gone. That's right. But I wanted to wear this wig because you know what? I put this wig on for Halloween to go out. I thought if I had this wig all the time, I would be a much different person. I probably wouldn't have a podcast. And I turned to my friends and I said, let me tell you this much. If I had this much hair and my hair was this stunning, I would in no way be your friends. I know that about myself. Yes, I am a little bit superficial. Sue me. And you know what? If I had this hair, you wouldn't be able to afford to because I'd be in a different tax bracket. I hope that the plastic from this wig isn't scratchy on the mic. I am louder, more vivacious, more outgoing today because you know what? The two roommates I do have in New York City, one's in North Carolina and the other one's gone to a corn maze. So I've got the place all to myself. It's a little bit of an unconventional episode in that I don't necessarily have something to complain about or tell you narrative-wise. But what I wanted to do is it was my 32nd birthday last week. I did not even really think about doing a birthday episode because I did one, I think last year, or at least I spoke about birthdays. And this birthday came and went and, I did something for my birthday, fine, whatever. But really, as I was reflecting on my birthday, I don't think this wig is straight. Let's get into the episode. If you cannot see me, I'll describe that before we jump into the credits of the episode. Roll the opening track. But before we do that, it's a long wig, curly, thick, with a white patch. And then I'm wearing a black dress because last night when I went out, so first of all, I bought a 1960s costume, but I'll say this about the 60s. Those body dresses, those shapes were not kind to women who don't have just no fat, okay? So, or they are kind, I don't know what the right negative, positive is of people who have fat. I don't know how they were dressing in the 60s, girl. Well, they were, who knows? I did no research. I just bought a plus size costume from this costume shop and then I tried it on at home and I said, I look disgusting and I won't be out in public like this. So then I went back to the costume shop yesterday during the day and I thought, if there's no line, I'll pop in. Well, the Halloween gods were looking down and praying for me because there was no line. So I went in, I spent 80 minutes in there because I felt so unsure of what to buy and I didn't want to waste money. And then I spoke to a woman who was like, this hair is basically your hair but more. And I was like, sold, bitch, because I've been really wanting extra long hair, but my hair takes so long to grow. The point is that I look fabulous and then I had a lot of makeup. I can't even imagine what this wig looks like when I have no makeup on. Because last night, green eyeshadow, red lips, snatched to high heaven. So anyway, let's just get into the actual point of this week's episode. Roll the fucking credits, bitch. And I'm talking to myself when I say bitch because guess who edits this whole thing? Breathe in. Welcome to What the Fuchs with Jess Fuchs. Now breathe out. And scream. Because here's what's pissed Jess off this week. Okay, so my birthday passed in a very uneventful way. It was a perfect day. I literally woke up, had a bagel, went for a walk to some vintage shops, bought this dress that I'm wearing, came back. I think I watched some Suits. I did some, as in the TV show Suits, that's my new fixation. And I've been analyzing psychologically why I loved Outlander, why I like Suits, stuff like that. Now, Outlander, I think, actually did get me for a number of reasons, but I will say about Suits and other shows, sometimes you just need an 8-season show so that you don't have to think about what to put on, because I think the hardest thing for me is constantly having to be what should I watch? Oh, do I look like Addams Family character and not the good one, not the mom or Wednesday? Do I look what's the one that's really hairy? I'm just realizing I think I look like that because there's so much hair. It's truly everywhere, but I just love it. Anyway, okay, so the birthday was good and then I went bowling with some friends and had a drink. Oh, I didn't even drink. I'll be honest with you. I didn't drink. But when I was thinking about my birthday, it was a perfect day because I got to, shop, a little bit of consumerism. I'm not above that. I got to see some friends. Good enough, you know what I mean? I don't need to see every single friend I've ever had, but I also don't need to see nobody. Good. And then last night someone did tell me, and by someone I mean a friend, was you look like Hagrid, and I was heard. Thank you, chef. Now, but what I want to talk about today, the point of today's episode is I was thinking about, so I want to bestow upon you 32 lessons that I've learned in my 32 years on this earth. Connected to that is to say, lots of these things I will say, I myself have to hear them again and again, or I am constantly reminded of it. But I just thought, why not bestow upon the people, getting my phone with my lessons, why not bestow upon the people the things that I've learned and the lessons that I hold dear to myself? Again, many of these things you'll be like, bitch, you literally don't even do that. Yeah. Don't speak to me like that. It's my birthday. I'm going to rapid fire them because there are 32 and we are just going to get through them. So, and I also, no order. No order. They just, as they came to mind, because I didn't think there was like an ascending, descending structure to this. No, it's just what I believe and how I believe it and how it came to my mind. Now let me fix this wig before we jump in because I want to look good. You know what I mean? As I present my findings, my scientific life findings to you. Number 1, style. Of course, we have to start with that, a little bit of a soft entry as I look like a mop. Clothing. Wear something with confidence and there's really no reason not to dress slay. Now, what do I mean by that? That's a great question because I wrote that one a couple of days ago and I don't remember what I was going through mentally at that point. But I think that now I remember. I often have people go, oh my God, I love what you wear. You have such good style. You know how to dress your body, especially people who have like a little bit of meat on their bones. They'll always comment on style. And I always say to them, well, you can do that too. No, I don't know what to wear. I don't know what looks good. For sure. But we are living in a time where there is quite literally Pinterest and everything else and so many resources online. You not finding your style is you being lazy. That's the bottom line. And that's okay. I think there is no reason that you shouldn't find your style. Of course, sometimes clothing sizes make things harder, but at the baseline, like you can kind of get anything for your size at this point in the world. And also, you don't need to dress like Gigi Hadid. You know what I mean? It's like, I think that's the other part of style that I take issue with is like, I hope not every point is going to be this fucking long, Jess. I think people look at like people who are like models who have truly inhumane, who have not normal body types. That is not the normal body type. That is not the average. A model does not have an average body. They put clothes on them. They look great because the clothes are sitting on a hanger, which is a model's body. And then it doesn't look like that on a normal body. Okay, of course. But really, if you want to have style, if you want to dress in a way that makes you feel confident, which to me, clothes, don't judge a book by its cover. However, the cover does tell you something. The way you choose to dress tells me something about you. And I'm not saying that you need to be the most stylish person in the room, but it's literally that monologue from fucking I was going to call it Princess Diaries. It's not. Literally the monologue from Devil Wears Prada. We think that our choices don't actually matter, but in actuality, what you wear is telling something to the world. And it could just tell that you're self-conscious because you wear a certain style, or it could tell the world that you don't care about the way that you dress, but really you do because you're choosing to not care. Do you know what I mean? The point is that if you want to wear something colorful, if you want to be stylish, we're introducing so many nuanced words. Stylish is subjective. What you think is stylish, I'm not. And what I think is stylish, you won't think. Okay, fine. That's not the point. But if you want to dress in a way that, let's say you see someone walking down the street and you're like, damn, she's fucking sick. I love how she's dressed. You've just found a style. That's what you like. Dress like that. Copy. You got to copy. Copying is a form of flattery. Everything's copied. Nothing's original. Copying is, and then you just adapt it to be your own thing, or fucking flat out copy. It's clothing. There's no copyright on that shit. So anyway, the style is wear something that you love, and there is really no reason for you not to wear and dress however you think is cool, because there's so many examples on Pinterest, online, on Instagram of people who are dressing in a way that you admire. So just fucking copy that shit, okay? There's no reason to not dress exactly what you think is sick. That's number 1. Number 2, life is long and short. People always want to be like, oh, life is so short. No, it's not. It's long. If you're worried that life is short, don't worry, it's long. And if you're worried that life is long, don't worry, it's short. And I don't really need it. That's more philosophical, psychological. Maybe you take a hit of the bong and then you listen back to that number, that point, because that one makes sense to me and I don't have the capacity to explain it more. But I think take solace in like there's two sides of the same coin, I guess. It's like life is long, life is short. Both are true. That's awesome. So when you're worried, oh, everything's going so quickly. Don't worry about it, honey. We'll be back here again. Deja vu, vujade, which is an actual thing. Vujade, I learned that this week. It's the opposite of deja vu. When you've been somewhere, I don't remember what it is. You can look it up. Number 3, get drunk. I know everyone as they get older is like, oh my God, the hangovers. No. Who fucking cares? So what? You have a day where you watch movies and you eat McDonald's, or you just lay in bed and you complain. Slay. And I'm not saying get drunk all the time. I don't drink a lot, but I also think that sometimes being drunk is like kind of fun and stupid. So get drunk. All right. Oh my God. Lame. Be spontaneous. I know that sucks. I know that for some of you, you're like, I don't even know how to do that. Or some of you are like, oh my God, I'm only spontaneous. Okay. Meet me in the middle. And be spontaneous can be anything. I also think it's like you could cut bangs. And I know people think that that's like a sign of mental illness. And yeah, it is. But like, what is being spontaneous? Mental illness will lock me up in the asylum, honey. I think being spontaneous to me can be anything. It's like if you usually paint your nails pink, right? You always do like funny bunny, neutral pink, whatever. You know what? Go and paint them blue. Spontaneous doesn't need to be like pack your life up and move to like fucking Sicily, okay? Spontaneous can just be anything this is my definition of spontaneous. Get off my dick if you're from Webster's dictionary. Being spontaneous can literally be anything. Can be like if your regular pattern is to drive home one way, drive another way, play a different song. It doesn't matter. I just think spontaneity is a little bit fun because I feel like anytime that I've done something that's like spontaneous or out of my pattern, rather, let's call it that for some of you who are like scared by the word spontaneous because you think it's unstable. It's like that just sometimes adds a little bit of spice to the day, and life is long, so you need to. Okay, so be spontaneous, whatever that means to you. I don't care. Okay, friends are important. Friends are important. I don't think that really needs to be said much more. I think the thing with friends being important to me is simple. You are born into a family. You can choose to be a part of it or not. Obviously, most people do feel some sense of obligation to like stick with their family. That's why you see people with terrible relationships with family members and they're like, oh, but they're blood. Blood is not thicker than water. Put that in that fucking sentence as well, in that point. But friends are important because they are the people that you're choosing. You are like actively choosing to create such a good bond with them. And I know that sounds lame. I've got other points about friendship, so I don't want to burn too much in. But I do think it's like, sorry about that. That's the wig getting in my mouth. Friends are really important, and I think it's like no matter what happens to you, whether your life gets busy with work or your family gets busy because there's drama or you get in a relationship, like friends at the end of the day are like day one kind of important. I think it's like God created sun, the moon, and friendship. I know that they say God created the sun, but I don't think they ever talk about God creating the moon. Or at least I gave up. Didn't read that passage. Okay, let people change and don't worry so much. Okay, this kind of connects to the friendship thing, right? Or relationships, or just even yourself. I think something I've learned in the last couple years, or maybe the last 5 years, this was really hammered home for me, especially in relation to friendship, is we have these set dynamics with people, family, friends, whoever, relationships. And then when someone changes, whether they do or don't, in the direction that you want, it's really hard to like recognize that and to be like, what the hell, this doesn't suit me anymore because I'm so used to a pattern being what it was. I think that there is if it's like when you're playing tennis, you're supposed to have a looseness to the wrist, I think, from memory. Let's pretend that is correct, just for the analogy. And if I'm wrong, then find something else where your wrist should be tight and then loose. You know what I mean? But I think this idea of like strangling someone to be like, well, they're not like how they used to be. So what? People have to change. And you know what? You change too. Or if you don't, sad, stagnant. What's that about? So I just think that people change. And I think that allowing people to change is really important to friendship. And also it helps you determine if you want to stay friends with someone. This is a later point, but like, let friends go. And I think at the heart of the let people change is the reality, which is like relationships change as you get older. Because even if they're not necessarily changing who they are, they might be changing. Like a friend, they start dating someone, or their family needs more of them or less of them. So people are just going to shift and merge and change and mold as we grow. You just mold, like moldy, they get moldy as we get older. You just got to let it happen. You can't force it. You can't stop that. Okay, don't overwork yourself. Pick a few really good projects and stick to that. Now, this can relate to anything, but I'm going to tell you the anecdote I learned. I had a mentor who said to me, you can only do 5 things at one time. 5 projects, this is. And all of those 5 projects cannot be at the same status or the same position. So let's say you wanted to plan 5 birthday parties. I'm using a non-comedy, well, no, let me use my thing and then I'll make it another. Look at me giving you guys fucking analogies. To think that this life advice is free. Oh, I feel sick about that. You're welcome. Okay, so this mentor said to me, you cannot do more than 5 things at one time. You will just spread yourself too thin and nothing gets done well. And of those 5 projects, each has to be at a different position. So let's say you are writing 5 scripts, okay? You cannot have all of them in the same position, which is at the very beginning. This script 1, has to be in a later stage so that your brain can be processing stuff for that script whilst your brain is simultaneously working on script 2. Script 2 can be at the ideation phase where you're like, I don't know what this is, but I need a bit more time mulling it over. Script 3 can be in the middle. You've got a draft of it, you're editing it. Script 4 could be at the getting notes from other people, and then script 5 is, whatever. You cannot do more than 5 things at any one time, and of those 5 things, they have to be in very different places. You can apply that to literally anything else. Okay, I was going to go with the analogy of a party. You cannot simultaneously plan 5 parties. Your brain will get muddled. You'll think you're ordering food for party 1 when really that's the food that was supposed to be for party 4. No, even with, I've got an amazing checklist. Shut up. You're wrong. And you might also not be able to do 5. Honestly, 5's a bit much for me because I don't get a lot of extra help, whereas my mentor is in a very different position in her career. So if she has 5 projects, 2 of which can be with a co-writer or an assistant or with a producer or whatever. So it's like, find whatever your limit is. Maybe yours is 3 and work from that. Okay, don't work too hard at a job you don't like. We will talk about jobs in general at a later point. But what I want to say is when I was in my teens and early and 20s, I would overwork at so many different jobs and not actually stop and be thoughtful about do I actually give a fuck about this job? And the answer is always no. I never cared about the job because it wasn't what I wanted to be doing. But I would work so hard just because it was almost this default where I was like, oh, okay, you work hard. My parents are both hard workers, so that's what I saw. And my family are filled with overachievers in terms of just hard working and stuff. So that was the default of what I knew. But the only thing I regret, when people are when you're on your deathbed, you're not going to regret working. Honey, I agree to some degree. I agree if it's something you hate. So I think if you don't like your job and it is truly just a paycheck, cash that shit in and don't worry about it. The point there is to be really conscious about where you put your effort and your time. And I 100% agree if you love your job or your job needs, if you certainly need to work in a certain way for your job, go for it, be forced, be merry. But I think if you don't care about your job, if you're working whatever kind of job just to pay the bills, and or if you are working a job that's you're studying or you're pursuing something else, do not overextend. The number of times that people I worked for years at a medical center and I would get stressed if something wasn't done in a timely manner. Why? My job was to be a receptionist, and being stressed about things out of my control did not fucking matter. So I think it's for sure, get involved in whatever your job is to a degree, but I think be a little bit conscious of what I'm caring about, why I'm caring about it. Maybe that's the point, is don't overinvest in your job, asterisk, if you don't care about it, or if it's just not important. Sometimes asking someone to repeat themselves is easier than arguing with them to make them hear how stupid they are. Okay, so this is something I've learned from being on stage. This is truly a very good lesson I've learned in the last couple of years, and I believe it can be applied to day-to-day life. Do not argue with someone. The fastest way to show someone that they are stupid, and also for you to know if they are worth then debating with, is let's say they say something dumb. And I do this when someone heckles me on stage. They say something mean or dumb or whatever. And instead of fighting with them, because I heard you, chef, I heard you. But there's no point arguing with them because they're not actually smart enough to, this is the process to determining if someone's smart enough to kind of move them over to your team or to neutralize them, or if they're just so stupid. So someone says something dumb. I don't like your wig. Instead of going, well, fuck you, I don't like your wig, I'd go, sorry, what was that? And then they have to go, I don't like your wig. Now, be bold. Ask them a third time, go, I'm really sorry, I don't understand what you're saying. Can you just repeat it? The chances are someone's not going to be a cunt 3 times over because they'll realize that they're being a cunt 3 times over. However, if they are a cunt 3 times over, they are a cunt, period. And you cannot you can't deal with them. Sometimes we want to fight back with someone's opinion we don't agree with, and it works, but sometimes it actually doesn't. So I think before you even launch your full attack into changing someone's mind or beating them down because they deserve it, they probably do. I personally think a quick method to dealing with someone is to just make them repeat their stupidity a couple more times. It's also fun because you just get to see them have to repeat their stupid opinion, and just chill back on that. Don't let it get to you. They're saying the same thing. Don't let it affect you 2 or 3 times. Let them be fucking stupid, and then you can attack with your fangs out, bitch. I'm not saying don't attack. Argue all you want, honey. I'm just saying have a bit of fun in the process, and maybe they will realize how stupid they are if you just make them repeat themselves a couple times. Now, this one's obviously going to be a bit of a skewed opinion because of my job, but laugh a lot. And I hate to be sentimental or like serious on this. Not that I haven't already been, but you know, you're getting free advice. You may as well throw in something good. Laugh a lot. It sounds stupid. And the thing is, I feel like this sounds crazy. I feel like a lot of people don't laugh. I really, really believe that. I think some people are just out here like not having a good day all the time, every day. Is my wig falling off? Probably. So I think it's like, whatever. If there's a TikTok that makes you laugh, like, fucking save it. Reread a text message, like back and forth with a friend that was like making you laugh. Whatever it is, laugh a lot. It sounds lame. And hang out with people who make you laugh a lot. I don't really care what the reason is. There's so many people who make me laugh for so many different kinds of reasons. They're the best people to speak to at the end of the day. This is kind of a repeat of a different point, but like time is of the essence. But what is essence? You know what I mean? Time is of the essence, I think, is just meaning something's important, for sure. But like I said before, life is long and short. And life was too long and short for me to find 32 unique points. So this one is a bit of a double dipper, if you will. But I think it is the idea that, like, you know, I think time is of the essence is different to me as like life is long and short, because time is of the essence is kind of an urgency, right? We have to hurry up. Time is of the essence. What is essence? Okay. We put so much stress, that's essence and stress put together. We put so much pressure, that's stress and pressure together is stress. We put so much pressure on ourselves to get everything done, whether it's in a work capacity or like friends or getting back to people or this or that. At the end of the day, literally nothing matters. And I've said this to someone before and they go, well, what about being a surgeon, you know, getting surgery? Okay, there'll be another surgeon who will come and do the operation, or they won't and everyone dies. And I know that's quite a bleak thing to say, but look at me, I'm smiling through it because it gives me a sense of peace. That doesn't mean it has to work for you. But I think we put this pressure on ourselves, and this can relate to, I had this conversation with a friend the other day. We're talking about what do you want to take forward and what do you want to leave behind in New Year's, in your birthday, you know, going forward. And something I said to my friend was like, I think there's always been for me this pressure of like, oh my God, I'm at a certain age and my career's not where I want it to be and I don't have as much money as I want to so that I'm stable and la la la. I want to get rid of that pressure to be like, you're a failure if you haven't achieved something in time. Time is of the essence, sure, but at the same time, it's like, no, it's not. No, it is quite literally not. So don't worry if you don't get something done in time. Don't stress. Oh my God, this wig is itchy. I could not figure out how to turn on the heat because it's cold now in New York City. And so I just thought I'll wear the wig because that'll keep me insulated, and it's like working a little too well. Okay, it's better to be overdressed than underdressed. I don't really want to go into that more because I don't need to justify that opinion to you. You don't have to agree with me. You dress however you want. But for me personally, I'd prefer to be overdressed because I look slay. And like, you also don't need to dress up for anybody. Like, if you want to wear sweatpants, you get it, girl. Like, I go out looking like ass all the time. But I just think in the scheme of life, I prefer to be overdressed than underdressed. Okay, hate to say it. It really is the journey. Miley Cyrus was right. It really is the journey. It is the climb that matters, okay? And we think that we are going to get to a certain place and be like, oh my God, all of our problems are fixed. And a friend asked me the other day, we were talking about careers. And she was like, we were talking about creative people and how sometimes it is fulfilling some sort of hole in them. And this can be applied to any job, really. Maybe I make enough money or I get to a certain position and then I'll be happy or I'll be this, I'll be that. And it's like, I think that is a very prevalent opinion. I get a boyfriend, I'll be happy. I get this, I'll be happy. I buy a house, I'll be happy. The truth is, no, you won't. You will be just as empty when you get the thing because the thing isn't actually what matters. You are trying in pursuit of the thing to fulfill some sort of hole, a house-shaped hole, a money-shaped hole, a relationship-shaped hole in your heart and in your brain and in your psyche. Okay? Deal with that on your own fucking time. So unfortunately, you have to take pleasure in the journey toward the thing so that I think the thing then matters. Because if you don't enjoy the thing as it's coming together, as you're achieving it, I actually think that the thing, whatever you're achieving, is not going to matter. If I hated the entire process of me becoming successful as a comedian, by the time I am a comedian, in quotes, whatever that means, I don't think I would actually take pleasure in it because I've hated the whole fucking journey. So as if the thing I'm achieving is going to matter. Okay, confrontation is hard, but you can be mad at someone and still love them. And that is for both the people who don't like being confronted and for the people who are confrontees. I think there's this idea if we fight, like, oh my God, the friendship's over or the relationship is over. No, having a confrontation doesn't mean that you are like out immediately. And I think we are not taught as a society to like be confrontational and say our opinion. And if anything, you sitting me down and giving me your opinion is like an act of love. And I know that sounds stupid, but just like don't think confrontation is the fucking end of the world. Be creative, have something you love doing, and it can truly be anything. I think creativity has been co-opted by this idea of like professional, like, oh, you have to be a creative, like a professional at something. Shut up. No, you can be creative in anything. I don't care if it's collecting newspapers, cutting out, I don't know, ransom notes and just like having it as a joke. That's insane that was what I thought of. But being creative can be anything, and being creative doesn't need to be turned into a job. I've had this conversation with my sister who's actually really creative, but unless it's perfect, she won't engage with it. And I just think that's so stupid because it's like you aren't going to be like Mozart. You aren't going to be like, I don't know, name another fucking professional creative. That's not the point of creativity. Creativity is just supposed to be like something that's beautiful. Make your garden beautiful. Organize your spice rack. To me, that's creativity. Creativity is also not, it's very much broader than we give it credit, which is a whole fucking other thing we can talk about at another bloody point. But the point is, find something to be creative with. I don't care what it is. Organize your bookshelf for all I care. But it is important. People tell you who they are. Okay, immediately. People tell you who they are and you choose to ignore it. I really feel like that is something I've learned in the last year. I spent a lot of time ignoring the red flags of other people in any situation because I wanted, whether it's like to date someone because I just wanted to date them, or I wanted a friend or needed a friendship and didn't want to see who they were because it was convenient. People tell you who they are, you're choosing to ignore it. That's on you. And then the sound gets so loud, it's coming from inside the building, and that's when you end up having to go like, oh shit, oh, there are a lot of red flags. Yeah, bitch. And they have told you who they are from day dot and you chose to ignore it. And that's okay. But take that. Recognize that. Because the sooner you recognize that, the faster you don't get bogged down in these loser red flag people anymore, because you notice the red flag faster because you go like, why? Well, yeah, you're telling me who you are, so I'm not going to ignore it. That's a really good point. Dream job doesn't actually mean anything. Just like we live in a society where it's all commercial and bullshit, I think this idea has been tied to like a dream job, a dream life, almost like Barbie Ken vibes. It's like there is no such thing as a dream job. There are jobs that some people are more inclined toward. The fact that I know I want to be a comedian is a privilege because that is something I have loved for a long time. But I've had people be like, there's just nothing I'm good at. First of all, that's because you are assessing what you are good at, in quotes, based on some stupid arbitrary idea of like corporate jobs where it's like you have to be an amazing lawyer or you have to be an amazing Olympic swimmer. Shut up. That's not what anything means. I just think this idea of like pursuing a dream job or a dream career is a wank, and you don't need to concern yourself with it. Because I have even learned that, even though I am pursuing a, in quotes, dream job, that there is no such thing. Because if comedy didn't exist tomorrow, or if I couldn't do comedy tomorrow, I'd have to find something else to do that fulfills me. And that's really hard. But it's like, you are not your job and your whole worth is not your career. So like, don't think that you have to have a career that is like a perfect thing. Get your paycheck and live for something else, whatever that is. Treat people how they treat you. Now, this is unconventional. I don't think people would agree with this point regularly. However, I used to overextend for friends, right? I used to overextend for people all the time, and I would get so frustrated and disheartened and annoyed because I was like, why aren't people like matching me on my level? You don't need to change. If you were a kind person, I'm not telling you to all of a sudden go and be a cunt. But what I'm saying is adequately assess how people treat you. If you want to keep them in your life, adjust your expectations for that person. And you do not need to overextend, okay? This might be a little too personal to me. Maybe it makes no sense to you. But you can maintain any and all the friendships and relationships you want. But I think it's within reason. What do I mean by that? If you notice that you are always a person reaching out to a friend to like set things up or to make something happen, but you want to maintain that friendship, instead of messaging them every other week, because that's when you want to see them, pull back a little. make space in your life for someone else to come in who is going to put in equal effort. So I don't think it's about cutting someone off or whatever. I think it's about accurately assessing someone's abilities to give you what they want. And you often see that based on what they give you. How much someone wants and gives should be in equal measure. Is that crazy? Does that even make sense? I don't know. But I just think it's bullshit that you can have someone who is sucking you dry and expects all that, but then you can't suck back. Get out of here. I'm going to suck whoever's going to suck me. Okay? And that applies in a lot of ways. It's okay not to have a job you love. We exist in a time where people think it's important to have a job that you're obsessed with. I had this conversation with a friend recently because she has been struggling. She's like, she hates her job, but she doesn't know what else she wants to do. And I said to her, listen, get a corporate check, get a not-for-profit check, get a this, get a that, find a job that is mildly satisfying, and find other things that fulfill you. You do not need to give a fuck about your job. I do not know why. Well, I do know why, but we live in a time where everyone thinks that their job has to be like impressive, important, whatever. If what is in your heart is to be a stay-at-home parent, if what is in your heart is to have a beautiful home, if what is in your heart to travel, you need to just put the pieces of your life together to give you whatever it is that you, at the heart of the core of you, is what you want. You need to just get the pieces, get your fucking ducks in a row. If you want to have a beautiful home, then find a job that allows you to make enough money to get the home that you desire, and that's it. And work at that job for as long as you need to, and not a penny or a second more. In a world where we fetishize jobs needing to be this like amazing thing. No, it sucks that people have to work as much as they have to. I mean, we also don't have to. That's the other thing. We could be as productive in a 4-day work week, but we don't have time to get into that. But I think it is so shit that people are like, feel shit about themselves if they don't have a job that is impressive in quotes or is something they are amazingly passionate about. Unfortunately, we live in a society what's the word? Not commercial, commodified, the word? Come on, Jess, you've done so well finding your words. We live in a society where like work has been like it's just fucked. It's just fucked. The work culture. It just is. Okay, everything's expensive. Everyone has to have a job. Everyone has to have a job. That's the thing that sucks. So you know what? Do not make it your whole personality. Do not make it your whole life. Do not make it your whole reason for living. Find other things. There's so many other things. And I think all of you have things that you like, but maybe don't lean into it because you think you can't. Or this, if you love your fucking garden, make the best fucking garden. Do you know what I mean? Is that stupid? I don't care. Okay, point 21. We've only got 11 left. Changing your mind is good. Not everything you've ever believed is concrete, especially about yourself. Changing your mind is good, I think, is just a general thing to really internalize. But I also think it's like we have these ideas of ourselves that are so like set in stone, and that's not because they're real or they're true. It's just because things we've told ourselves or things we've come to believe because that's been the like negative narrative or the narrative, right? Oh, I'm so lazy. I'm just a lazy person. Like, I'll never achieve anything because I'm lazy. That's probably not true. And even if it is, you can change that. And you can also change that by changing your mindset. I literally feel like one of those podcasts that's like, I wake up at 5 a.m., I do an ice bath on my face. But I think that we perceive ourselves and other people as these like immovable or like permanent structures, or like how you perceive yourself is just who you are. That's not true. So much of this shit is just what we've told ourselves, so then you start to believe it because you've told yourself. Shut up. That's not true. Changing is inevitable. Changing is great. In fact, change or die. Put that on a goddamn Etsy pillow. Also, changing your mind is exciting because it means that things are changing and something's new, and like life is so long, so like you may as well change your opinion at some point. You don't owe anyone an explanation unless you do. So if it's someone you love or you care about and you fucked up, you do owe them an explanation. But you don't, like, I have a tendency to feel like I have to like over-explain, over-cater to someone else and whatever. And maybe that's a people-pleaser tendency, I don't know. I also think I've noticed other female friends, let's say someone asks us, it's a collective. When you ask one woman out, you ask the whole friendship out. I do actually believe that. I used to think about this a lot and I haven't really done a good joke of it, but like I do like the idea of like when you're texting, when you ask a woman out, like you literally are getting to know her whole friendship group because we are consulting. And that doesn't change as you get older. I know that that's like an immature way to be, but sorry. We sit on each woman has a board. We all have a board, and on the board sit all of our other friends who are on that board. And when we get a proposal of some sort, romantic or otherwise, you bring that to the board gets a vote, and we all get an opinion. Now, whether or not the company, the CEO, who is the individual who has gathered her board, is going to take the opinion of the board, that's a whole other thing. But at the end of the day, we are a board for each other. Now, do I know what a board versus CEO is? No. You might be like, not all CEO companies have a board. Well, you get the analogy. The point is, we are one is we. Get over it. What was the fucking point? You don't owe anyone an explanation. We women, I have found, tend to, let's say someone asks us out and we don't want to go, or someone does something and we don't want to, like, whatever. Oh, that's so nice of you to ask me out, but I just feel like, shut up. I don't need to explain to you why I don't want to go out with you. I can let you down gently while also being polite, but also protecting my peace. So I think that's the thing. Like, I feel like I often overextend and offer too much detail when it really doesn't fucking matter. So you don't owe anyone an explanation until you do. And those people are the people that you care a lot about. And those people you do owe an explanation to. And you can't protect your ego by like refusing to apologize or give an explanation. Okay, so it's a balance. People's insults are more about them than you. That is genius. And I know you might know this already, but that took me a long time to internalize. Knowing that in theory versus in practice is very hard. When people are insulting you, they're jealous. When people are insulting you, they're insecure. When people are insulting you, it is about them, not you. Do not let that touch the sides, because it is really not about you. And if someone has feedback, legitimate feedback to give you, hey, you are a little bit negative recently. Is everything okay? That's not an insult. That's feedback, and that's them caring about you to check in on you. That's different. But if someone always criticizes the way that you dress or the choices that you make with stuff you buy or to whatever the fuck. I don't have plenty of examples of this. But let's say someone always criticizes how you dress. That's about them. They wish they dressed like you, or they hate how they dress. That's got nothing to do with you. Internalize that. Rest isn't lazy. I once went to a psychic who told me that if I don't figure out how to rest now and do it efficiently, what will happen is I'll become more and more successful, and it will be harder and harder to rest because I will get more and more under the weather. And I agree with that. So whether it's like this, 1 day a week you have a true rest day, or every 2 months you take 2 weeks off, I don't care. Find a way to rest. Find a way to do it. Rest is very important in every sense of the word, but we do not think we deserve it sometimes, which I think is just outrageous, but that is a very important thing. Psychic was right. Be where you are wanted. This sounds silly, but I think there's a part, and maybe this is a people pleaser quality, I don't know, or maybe this is just a quality in general. I think that sometimes people go where they aren't wanted because I think they're trying to win people over, or they think that like they don't want to see that clearly, or they're in denial, whatever. You need to go where you are wanted. When people invite you to a party, go there. You will be wanted there. Do not try to force your way into somewhere where you are not being invited or you are not wanted. It is not going to be fun for anyone there. You aren't wanted. You don't want to be there. You're just trying to prove something sick and fucked up. Look into that. But be where you are wanted. That's a simple one. Community is important. The last couple of years, as I've seen my sister and like friends have children and people's lives get more complicated and harder as numerous things happen, community, it literally does take a village to raise a child, but also it takes a village to maintain a happy person. And I think we are becoming so on our phones, so in this weird fucked up life. Protect our peace. I'm not coming tonight because I'm looking after my mental health. Shut up. Go to the party. Be around people. It's very important. Community is so important. I do think it is like literally the only thing that keeps people sane, even though people don't want to admit that or they don't want to see that clearly. Very important. So just make sure you have community around you. And if you don't, figure out how to get that. Find something you love to do and go take a class in that, because then you'll find people who have similar interests at the baseline of their life, whatever that is. Treat yourself how you would treat your friends. I think we are so hard on ourselves, but then I think about how fucking lenient I am with my loser friends, and I say that lovingly because I let them fuck up, because why wouldn't I? Because they're people. And then I treat myself like shit. Huh? That doesn't make any sense. So I want you to start treating yourself the way that you would treat a friend, where you give them so much rope trope to just like be silly, be ridiculous. They go back to an ex and you're like, you're an idiot, but I love you still and I will support you. When you're out of sorts, it's because you're actually learning. This one's a bit strange and I don't know how much it will apply to you, but it heavily applies to me and has been a lesson learned. What do I mean by all of this? Does that look insane? No, that's okay. We can keep going with that. So in comedy, there are times where I am learning something. Now, this can be a hard or a soft skill. And I say that because I don't know what that means. I know that is something that people say, hard or soft skills. But I don't know what that means. I just want to choose it so it makes my point seem legitimate. Let's say I am learning how to be a better writer. It means that when I'm on stage and when I'm writing, I will most likely be failing. Now, it is not actual real failure because I am learning, which means that things are going to be bad before they get good. Things get worse before they get better. And that is when you are learning something. This can be a literal skill like bike riding, or an emotional skill, or a career skill, or a whatever skill. But what I've noticed is when I'm struggling on stage, what feels like I'm struggling for me, I am a little bit weaker. Maybe I'm not killing as much as I used to because I'm using new jokes or I'm trying new techniques or whatnot. It feels really shit. It feels like you're doing something bad. But then something snaps or clicks and you get out of that funk. I believe the funk is actually just you being in a place where you are growing, but it doesn't look like that yet because you're in the thick of it and it feels shit. And I just want to say that has been a really hard lesson to like stomach, because it means that those hard times are actually valuable, but they feel shit. So it's just to say, like, when you are feeling out of sorts, when you are feeling like, why am I fucking up, or why is something not going the way that I want it to go? It's because the cogs are turning, okay? And the lesson is being learned. The new skill is coming, is evolving. You're just not there yet, so it doesn't feel like anything good is happening. And that's such a shit feeling, but I really, really believe when someone thinks they're in a funk, they're not. They're just learning, they're just changing, and you just have to accept that on the other side of that funky smell is something awesome. So I've had to really internalize that for my creative career. You can apply that to anything. When you're in if a friendship is struggling a little bit because you're both learning something new about each other. Maybe you've changed, they've changed, whatever. And if the friendship's going to persist, well, on the other side of that is a beautiful new butterfly friendship that is going to emerge. Or you will stop being friends, and what's on the other end of that? A beautiful new kind of just not friendship that evolved from just something that was painful and not great. So I think that we just have to keep in mind that when something feels off, when something's hard, for me specifically when I'm doing comedy and it's not going as well as it feels like it used to go, it's not because I'm worse or whatever. In fact, it's because I'm growing and I'm getting better, and the cogs need to get just the wheel is just needing a bit of grease. Not all friendships last for 7 years. I don't know if you've heard that statistic where it's like, if your friendship lasts for 7 years, it'll probably last more. Do not buy into that bullshit. There is every chance in the world that you maybe hit year 10 of a friendship and it is not going to last. I think that by 7 years, probably the fact that you've been together for a lot and you've experienced a lot, positive. However, not all friendships are going to last you your whole lifetime, because different people come in and out of your life for a reason at different times. And hey, you might have changed, they might have changed. Maybe those changes pushed you too far away from each other. I don't think that people are I've had some friendships come and go, and I think the way that I have made peace with so many changes in my life in general, not just friends, but just literally life in general, is recognizing that's just life. If you try to hold on to something and strangle it for dear life, nothing works out. So do not think that, and I think if you notice a lot of friends are leaving you, if you are noticing a pattern, well, maybe you need to reflect on that. But I have in my life had maybe two friendships come to an end that were significant friendships, and this is years apart and whatever, but well, that's not true. It was actually close-ish enough, because I think personally I had really changed, and I realized there are a couple people who just weren't very kind to me and took advantage of me, and so I had to change that. But I say all of that to say that change was on me. Losing those friendships was my choice, and I'm happy as fuck with that. But I think that had I tried to like force those friends to accept who I was, who I had changed to be, what I had like kind of grown in confidence and self-assuredness and like self-worth, I could have forced them to see that part of me, but they weren't going to, because that didn't suit them and what they wanted from me. So like I would have then spent so much time trying to like shove them to be what I like, to force them to see me and respect me the way that I want to be respected. Fuck that. Count your losses and move on and find people who actually going to love you for who you are and like treat you well. So not all friendships that hit 7 years or not all long-term friendships are going to last forever. And that is okay. So long as you aren't like kind of an animal at the center of like, if you're having friendships fall around you left, right, and center, you're at the center, sweetie. But I'm saying like, I've had some people say to me before, like, oh, you know, this friendship or that friendship, as if like one or two friends falling away over the years as they've changed. And like I simultaneously to those friendships ending have innumerable amazing friends who are so good to me, and I know I am a good friend. So like that doesn't worry me, but I'm just saying, I think friendships come and go and change. And I think you need to know when a friendship is not worth keeping if it is not treating you well and if you're not good. If you leave the time spending with your friend and go like, I hated that every single time, that's not a good friendship. That was a lesson. God, we don't have time for that. No one is thinking of you as much as you think they are. And if they are, it's because they love you or they hate you. And either way, take that attention and run, sweetie. If they love you, let them think of you all the time. Let them care. Let them want to know what you're up to. And let them be concerned with you, okay? Let them worry. Let them compliment. Let them love. Let them help. If they hate you, let them think. Who gives a fuck? Who actually gives a fuck if someone hates you? I used to care if I didn't get along with someone, especially in a professional capacity or like friends of a friend of a friend. I couldn't care less. You hate me. You spend your life thinking of me, sweetheart. I'm over here not thinking of you once. If someone's thinking about you because they hate you, let them think. Who gives a shit? If they're going to spend their life thinking of you, let the days roll by, let the clock tick on, and let them think about you. But at the heart of it all, no one is thinking about you as much as you think about yourself and about how much judgment you would get and everyone else and whatever. And anyone who is occupying their days thinking about you, what a sad little life. What a sad little life. So let them think. But otherwise, I think that is so important to remember, because you shouldn't live your life based on what someone's going to think of you or how they'll judge you or what they'll say about you, because at the end of the day, then what you're doing is living for them, and you think you're living for you. You're living, do the math. You end up living for them. They don't care about you. And if they do care about you, then they're living for you. And wouldn't you rather live for yourself and let them live for you? Who gives a shit? Life is short and long. Live how you want to live. And God bless anyone who is waking up thinking of you, because it means they love you or they hate you. And if they hate you, you're giving them something to do with their life. And that is a blessing. To anyone that hates me and maybe listens to this out of spite, you are welcome for an agenda point today, for something to make fun of, for something to laugh with your stupid little friends about, for something to mock me. I don't care. Chef's kiss to you. I am your muse. Whether love and hate are the two sides of the same coin, so whether you love me or you hate me, I don't really give a shit. Airtime is airtime, sweetie. Okay, next point. Work-life balance is bullshit. Work-life balance is bullshit. And you know what? It's coming up a lot in these lessons, because I think 20s are the decade of like really figuring out a lot about like how you want to spend your life, what you want to spend your time on, how you want to spend your days. And I just think we are taught, oh, you can have it all, you can have it all. No, you can't. Work-life balance is bullshit, and that's okay. There are times in your life where you have to push harder at your work, and that's okay. And that has to be your focus. And you can still have something else going on. You can still have your friendships and your socializing, and you can still have your balance to some degree. But a pure balance, I actually just don't believe that it's true, which is why I think your 20s and your 30s, you push, you work hard, whether it's you're working hard at finding a relationship because you want to get married and have children by a certain time, or you want to save up to buy a house. I mean, who can bloody do that anymore? Or you want to have a certain type of career. I think this idea that you can have it all is actually going to drive everybody insane, and having a work-life balance is possible is insane. I think that if you have a job you like, fine, then you can balance that with having friendships or travel or other things that you fucking love. But that's not really, in my opinion, I think of a balance as like everything is like equal. And I don't think a balance in my definition, like you cannot have it all in the same way. You cannot have perfect friendships and relationships whilst also having a really hard career, or you cannot have like be a very present parent whilst also, having a very full career. I personally do not think that's possible, because I don't think that we should be, I think that's good. I think this idea that you can have it all is just like a myth, and it's silly. And I actually think that perpetuating it is like, I don't know, I just don't believe that personally. I'm sure there are people out there who maybe the version of your balance, in quotes, is different to like what I perceive as, you can have it all, you can balance it all. Maybe we all have different definitions of balance, but I think that that's okay, and I actually think that's good, because it means that at different points of your life, you put something different at the forefront. Like at different points in your life, like your friendships will matter more. It doesn't mean that when they're not number one priority list that they aren't important. It means you're like in maintenance. You're looking after your friendships. They still matter. But right now you are in a place where maybe you can't go to every single group dinner, or you can't reply to a message within an hour. Like maybe that's just not possible. And that is okay. But this idea that you can be everything to everyone, including yourself and to your job and to your life and to your children and to your family and to this, is not possible. We only have 2 points left. I believe we are hitting our numbers, which is good. Okay, your goals change as you grow, and that means that the goal post moves with those goals changing. That also means that we rarely actually recognize that the change that we are achieving as we change, because you are only moving the goalpost because you are actually achieving the benchmarks closer to the goal, right? But we do not think about it like that. I constantly will be like, my career is like not going well, and I haven't achieved this and I haven't achieved that. And then I'm like, hold the fucking phone for a minute, you dumb bitch. The reason that you are thinking it's not going well is because you've ticked off all of these other things, so that now you keep thinking that the thing you haven't achieved isn't going well. Well, you weren't trying to achieve that a year ago because you weren't anywhere near that. So have whatever lofty goals you want. I am pro loft goal, okay? Have them as high, have them as wide, have them as deep, and have them as shallow as you want. But if you are constantly trying to achieve something, you have to recognize that you are achieving little steps along the way. And the reason it feels like you aren't achieving like the thing, whatever the thing is because the thing keeps changing and you keep moving the goalpost. And so you are fucking forgetting that you are achieving the things along the way to the thing. Do you get what I'm saying? Please, God, understand what I'm saying. The point is, reflect on your success, reflect on your failures. And as you keep growing, whatever that is, let's say you want to have a really great relationship. Well, you've had to build that along the way. And so you might not think you're like achieving that per se, or you might whatever. But it's like, even with my career, it's like I often have to stop and be like, whoa, 2 years ago, I would not have achieved the things I'm achieving right now. But right now, it doesn't feel like that interesting that I have achieved or I'm achieving it, because it is just like par for the course now. Now it's part of the fucking rotation. But a couple of years ago, I couldn't have done the things I do now. Well, respect that. Look at that and be like, holy shit, you've come a long way. Keep working. I'm not saying to stop working. I'm just saying sometimes we don't actually celebrate enough of the wins along the way, the journey. And I think that's important. The last thing I am going to say, and then I am signing off because this camera is going to die once again. This is not some big ending. This lesson is not being saved for 32. Okay, this is just an ending. This is just a final lesson, which is done is better than perfect. I am not a perfectionist, luckily, but I am surrounded by people who are high achievers, perfectionists, all this stuff. I like having things to be really good, but I am not one that like will wait until something is like perfect in quotes to put something out, to share something. I don't really care. But I will often, not in a perfectionist way, but like there are plenty of times that like I won't even start something because I'm like, well, it's not going to be great. Yeah, of course not. You got to start. So whether it's the first draft of a novel or a first draft of something, or, your first attempt at whatever, I don't really care what it is. But done is better than perfect. And I think we often forget that because we think that everything needs to be like amazing before you debut it to the world, or, you have to look a certain way before you can like wear something. Just do the thing. Getting something finished and done is better than perfect, because perfect will never actually eventuate. And that sounds silly. And maybe that doesn't apply to everyone. Most of these lessons maybe don't apply to many of you, but these are the things I've learned, and that's all I can give you, because I have nothing else. I have no money. I have nothing else to share. That's the goddamn truth. At the heart of it, I want to give you something. Happy birthday, world. Happy birthday to those of you who listen to this every single bloody week. Happy birthday to those of you who maybe have never listened but have fucking found it this somehow. I hope these lessons have taught you something. Or at the very least, I hope that you have learned and seen that you can wear a wig any day of the week if that's what you fucking God well please. Damn sure well please. Put more swear words and whatever. Anyway, I must be off because this wig is giving me hives on my hairline and I have to be somewhere soon. But I want to say thank you for joining me. I want to say maybe these lessons maybe it's exactly what you needed to hear today, or maybe it's not at all. But we got there. We got to the end of the list. The camera died multiple times, but she persisted. And thank you, and happy birthday, and love you lots, like jelly tots, and over and out. Mwah.